Hello, my dear ones. My name is Anthony. I'm 78 years old and I'm retired. I worked as a history teacher for 40 years and have always been fascinated by the evolution of society. Today, I want to share with you some reflections on modern life and how it affects our health and longevity. So over the years, I've seen many changes in people's lifestyles, and I believe my experience can help to better understand the challenges we face today. Impact of modern lifestyle. My young friends, how the world has changed. I remember when I was a child in the 50s, our life was quite different. We would wake up early to the rooster's crow, have breakfast with fresh food from the backyard and walk to school. Lunch was prepared by my mother, with vegetables from the garden and meat from the local butcher. At night after dinner, the family would gather to talk or listen to the radio. Today I see my grandchildren running from one place to another, always in a hurry. Breakfast is a sandwich eaten in the car on the way to work. Lunch, often fast food or a meal heated in the microwave. And at night, when they get home exhausted, they barely have the energy to prepare a decent meal. They stay glued to their cell phones until late at night, disrupting their sleep. It's true that we have many conveniences nowadays. I remember when we didn't have a refrigerator at home and needed to buy ice to preserve food. Now we have appliances that make our lives much easier. But at the same time, this ease has made us more sedentary. In the past, doing laundry was a task that required physical effort. Today, you just need to push a button. This is great, but it also means we move a lot less in our daily lives. And what do we do with the time we save? Often we spend hours sitting in front of the TV or computer. Modern life has brought many benefits, no doubt. We have access to advanced medical treatments that save lives. When I was young, a simple infection could be fatal. Today we have effective antibiotics. But paradoxically, I see many people my age suffering from chronic diseases that could be avoided with healthier habits. For example, I have a friend, Joe, who was always a workaholic. He spent hours in the office, ate poorly, didn't exercise, and lived stressed out. At 60, he had a heart attack. The doctors managed to save him thanks to modern technology. But after that, he realized he needed to completely change his lifestyle. Joe's case made me reflect on how medicine has advanced, but also on how we've become dependent on it to solve problems that we ourselves create with our bad habits. It's as if we're using band-aids on wounds that we ourselves opened. I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man who only criticizes progress. Far from it. I think it's wonderful to have access to the internet, to be able to talk to my grandchildren via video call, and to have information at our fingertips. But I believe we need to find a balance. The challenge is to take advantage of the best of modern life without falling into the traps it presents. We need to be aware that convenience cannot come at the cost of our health. It's possible to use technology in our favor to have a healthier life, like apps that remind us to drink water or count our steps. In summary, my dear ones, modern lifestyle has brought us many comforts and impressive medical advances, but it has also exposed us to new health risks, such as sedentarism and poor nutrition. The key lies in using our wisdom to enjoy the best of both worlds, modern convenience and the healthy habits we learned from our ancestors. Necessary change for health and longevity. Well, my dear ones, after talking about how modern life has affected our health, I want to share with you some lessons I've learned over the years about how we can live longer and better. You know, when I was about 50, I thought it was enough to take some pills and do some checkups now and then to keep my health in check. I remember seeing TV commercials about miracle supplements and thinking, that's it, I'll buy a box and be as good as new. How naive I was, right? It was only when my friend Charlie, who was the same age as me, had a stroke that I started to realize that things weren't that simple. Charlie was always one of those who said, my grandfather smoked and drank every day and lived to be 90. Well, the world has changed and so have our bodies. After the scare with Charlie, I started paying more attention to what doctors were saying. Not just about taking medicine, but about changing lifestyle. At first, I confess I was a bit resistant. I thought it was too late to change, that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But my friends, how wrong I was. I started with small changes. I swapped the buttered bread at breakfast for a slice of whole wheat bread with avocado. At first, I thought it was quite a sacrifice. But after a few weeks, I started feeling more energetic in the morning. I no longer had that heavy feeling in my stomach. Then, My daughter convinced me to start walking. "Dad, start slow," she said, and so I did. On the first day, I walked around the block and came back breathless. But I didn't give up. Each day I walked a little more. Today I do my daily 3 miles and feel more energetic than I did 20 years ago. Sleep was also something I learned to value. Before, I would stay up watching TV late, thinking I was enjoying life. The result? I would wake up tired and grumpy. I started creating a routine of going to bed earlier and waking up with the sunrise. What a difference, my friends. It's like I gained extra hours in my day. But the most difficult change, and perhaps the most important, was learning to deal with stress. You know, we grow up hearing that real men don't cry and end up keeping everything inside. I learned in my old age that this is nonsense. I started practicing meditation, talking more about my feelings with my family, and even had a few therapy sessions. It was like taking a huge weight off my shoulders. What I want to say with all this is that there's no magic pill or miracle treatment that can replace a healthy lifestyle. Modern medicine is wonderful, yes, and I'm very grateful for it, but it works much better when we do our part. I remember a conversation I had with my doctor, Dr. Paul. He told me, "Mr. Anthony, you can take all the medicine in the world, but if you continue eating poorly, not exercising, and living stressed out, it will be like trying to dry ice." And he was absolutely right. The truth is that our body is an incredible machine, capable of regenerating and strengthening itself as long as we take care of it properly. It's not about living more years, but about living those years better. What's the point of reaching 90 if you can't play with your great-grandchildren or take a trip? So my dear ones, if there's one thing I've learned in these 78 years of life, it's that it's never too late to change. Every small positive habit you adopt today is an investment in your future. It's like planting a tree. At first you don't see immediate results, but over time it grows strong and bears fruit. And remember, health is not just the absence of disease. It's feeling good, having energy to do what you like, waking up ready every morning. It's being able to dance at your grandchildren's wedding, travel, learn new things. Therefore, don't wait to get sick to take care of your health. Start today with small changes. Believe me, your future self will be very grateful for this. Main habits that shorten life. My dear ones. Now we're going to talk about a serious but very important subject. Throughout my life, I've seen many friends and acquaintances suffer because of bad habits. I'm going to share with you some stories and what I've learned about these habits that can shorten our lives. Smoking. When I was young, smoking was considered charming. I remember my Uncle John, who smoked 2 packs a day. He said cigarettes helped him relax. But at 60, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. Seeing his suffering in his last months of life was one of the most painful experiences of my life. Cigarettes don't forgive, my friends. They affect almost every organ in the body. I have a neighbor, Mr. Jack, who smoked for 40 years. Today, at 70, he can barely climb a flight of stairs without getting out of breath. He uses an oxygen machine and regrets not being able to play with his grandchildren as he would like. If you smoke, please consider quitting. I know it's not easy, but your life and the lives of those you love are worth the effort. Remember, every cigarette you don't smoke is a victory for your health. Overeating. My dear grandmother always said, "A full belly, a happy heart." And I, being a good grandson, took this literally for many years. The result? At 50, I was 40 pounds overweight and had health problems. I had a colleague, Albert, who loved to have barbecues every weekend. He would eat meat until he couldn't anymore, always accompanied by lots of beer. One day during one of these barbecues, he had such a severe gallbladder attack that he needed emergency surgery. I learned that our body is not a trash can where we can throw anything in any quantity. We need to respect its limits. Today, I eat more consciously. You know that feeling of being stuffed after eating? I avoid getting to that point. I eat slowly, savoring each bite, and stop when I feel satisfied, not when I'm full. Lack of physical exercise. I confess that I spent a good part of my life being sedentary. I thought I didn't have time for exercise. What a mistake. I remember my friend Margaret, who at 65 could barely walk due to joint problems. The doctor said that if she had moved more throughout her life, she probably wouldn't be in that situation. That's when I decided to change. I started with light walks, then joined a Tai Chi group in the park. Today, at 78, I do water aerobics 3 times a week and feel more energetic than when I was 60. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. A little movement every day already makes a big difference. Dance, walk, swim. The important thing is to keep the body moving. Staying up late. The sleepless nights of youth. I thought sleeping was a waste of time, but over the years I realized how fundamental sleep is to our health. I had a fellow teacher, Robert, who always graded papers until late at night. He slept little and lived on coffee. At 55, he had severe burnout and had to take months off work. I learned that sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Today, I have a sacred sleep routine. I go to bed at 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. The difference in my energy and mental clarity is incredible. Prolonged sedentarism. With the arrival of computers and television, it became easy to spend hours and hours sitting. I remember when I bought my first color TV, I spent entire afternoons watching the programming. But I saw many friends suffer from back problems, circulation issues, and even depression because of sedentarism. My friend Carl, who worked in a bank, spent 30 years sitting in front of a computer. Today he suffers from chronic back pain and circulation problems in his legs. I learned the importance of getting up and moving regularly. Even when I'm watching TV, at every commercial break, I get up and take a little walk around the house. It makes all the difference. Negative mindset. Last but not least, the way we face life. I had an aunt, Dolores, who lived up to her name. She was always complaining about everything and everyone. She ended up developing health problems that doctors said were related to chronic stress. On the other hand, my neighbor, Mrs. Amy, at 85, is a well of joy and optimism. She faces the problems of age with good humor and is always willing to learn new things. I learned that cultivating positive thoughts is not being naive, it's being wise. The way we face life's challenges directly affects our physical and mental health. My dear ones, these habits may seem harmless in daily life, but their effects accumulate over the years. The good news is that it's never too late to change. Every small positive choice we make is a step towards a longer and healthier life. Remember, you are the authors of your life story. Write it with wisdom and care. Importance of emotional well-being. My dear ones, after talking about habits that can shorten our lives, I want to share with you something I learned late, but that completely changed my way of living. The importance of emotional well-being. You know, when I was young, nobody talked about mental health or emotional balance. It was considered soft. A real man didn't cry, didn't show weakness. A woman had to be strong and endure everything silently. What nonsense, isn't it? I remember my father, a tough man who never showed his feelings. One day, already elderly, he had a nervous breakdown. That's when I realized that all that strength was actually a dam about to burst. My journey of discovery about emotional well-being began at 60 when I retired. Suddenly I found myself without the work routine, without that sense of usefulness that the job gave me. I started feeling depressed, anxious. I thought I was going senile, as we used to say. It was my granddaughter Julia who helped me. She was studying psychology and explained to me that what I was feeling was normal, that many people go through this in retirement. She encouraged me to see a therapist. At first, I confess I was reluctant. Talk to a stranger about my problems, how absurd, I thought. But I decided to give it a chance. And what a difference it made in my life. I learned that our emotions are not separate from our physical body. When we're stressed, anxious, or sad for a long time, our body suffers. Blood pressure rises, the immune system weakens, even our digestion is affected. I have a friend, Mrs. Claire, who suffered from constant body pains. She went from doctor to doctor, did several exams, and nothing was found. It was only when she started therapy that she discovered that a large part of her pains were physical manifestations of unresolved grief over the loss of her husband. Another thing I learned is the importance of maintaining social connections. After I retired, I had a tendency to stay at home, isolated. My daughter signed me up for a knitting group at the community center. At first, I thought it was absurd. A man knitting? But I decided to go more to please her. What a wonderful surprise. Not only did I learn a new skill, but I also made new friends. We laugh together, share stories, support each other in difficult times. I realized that this human connection was a powerful medicine for the soul. Meditation was another incredible discovery. My son-in-law introduced me to a guided meditation app, At first, I found it difficult to stay still, quiet, just breathing. But with practice, I started noticing the benefits. My blood pressure improved. I started sleeping better, and I felt calmer to deal with the challenges of everyday life. I also learned the importance of expressing gratitude. Every night, before going to sleep, I started mentally listing 3 things I'm grateful for. It can be something simple like a beautiful sunset or a tasty cup of coffee. This practice changed my perspective, made me more optimistic. Laughter, my friends, is powerful medicine. I started watching more comedies, telling jokes, even the bad ones, laughing at myself. I noticed that on days when I laughed more, I felt lighter, healthier. Another thing I discovered was the power of having a purpose. After retirement, I felt I had lost my usefulness. So I started doing volunteer work at an animal shelter. Taking care of those little animals, seeing the difference I could make, gave me a new sense of purpose. And this reflected in my health in a surprising way. My dear ones, taking care of emotional health is as important as taking care of physical health. In fact, the two are closely linked. Don't be afraid or ashamed to seek help when you need it. Talking to a professional, practicing activities that bring peace and joy, maintaining healthy social connections. All of this is part of a balanced and happy life. Remember, we are not just bodies that need exercise and good nutrition. We are complex beings with emotions, dreams, fears, and hopes. Taking care of our emotional well-being is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And the most beautiful thing about all this? It's never too late to start. I started my journey of emotional self-care at 60, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. So, no matter your age, start today to take care not only of your body but also of your mind and heart. Believe me, you deserve this peace and well-being. Conclusion and reflection. My dear ones, we've come to the end of our conversation, but I hope it's just the beginning of a new journey for you. Throughout these 78 years, I've learned a lot about life, health, and what really matters. I want to leave you with some final reflections. First, I want you to understand that I'm not here to scold you or make you feel guilty about the habits you have. Life is a great school, and we're all constantly learning. The important thing is to be open to changes and willing to make adjustments on our path. I remember when I was 50 and thought it was too late to change. How silly. Today, almost 30 years later, I realized that was just the beginning. It's never too late to start taking better care of yourself. Think about this. If you plant a tree today, in 10 years, it will already be big and strong, offering shade and fruit. If you don't plant it in 10 years, you'll regret not having planted it today. The same goes for our health and well-being. Throughout these chapters, we talked about how modern life has affected our health, about the need for changes in our lifestyle, about harmful habits, and about the importance of emotional well-being. But what does all this mean in practice? It means we have the power to shape our health and our future through our daily choices. Every healthy meal we eat, every walk we take, every good night's sleep, every moment of joy shared with loved ones, all of these are investments in our quality of life. I remember my friend Charles, who at 70 decided to completely change his lifestyle. He started eating better, exercising regularly and meditating. At first, everyone thought it was just a phase, but he persisted. Today at 85, Charles runs marathons and says he feels better than when he was 50. Charles's story makes me think of something important. We shouldn't underestimate our ability to change and adapt. Our body and mind are incredibly resilient. Give them the right tools: good nutrition, exercise, adequate sleep, positive social connections, and you'll be surprised at how much you can improve. Another thing I've learned is the importance of balance. We don't need to be health fanatics, counting every calorie or stressing if we miss a day of exercise. The key is in consistency and moderation. It's better to do a little every day than to try to do everything at once and give up because it's too difficult. I remember when I started changing my habits. At first, I wanted to do everything perfectly. I ended up getting frustrated and almost gave up. That's when my daughter told me, "Dad, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be better than yesterday." That advice changed my perspective. I also want to emphasize the importance of listening to your body. Each person is unique, with their own needs and limitations. What works for me may not work for you. Be attentive to the signals your body sends. If something isn't making you feel good, don't be afraid to adjust or seek professional help. Finally, I want to talk about the joy of living. Health is not just the absence of disease, it's feeling good, having energy to do what you like, being able to enjoy moments with those we love. Don't forget to cultivate hobbies, to laugh, to learn new things. Curiosity and enthusiasm for life are as important for longevity as a healthy diet. My dear ones, life is too precious to be lived on autopilot. Each day is an opportunity to make choices that lead us to a longer, healthier, and happier life. It's not about living forever, but about living well each day we have. Remember, small changes made consistently over time can lead to great transformations. Start today. Take a walk, prepare a healthy meal, call a friend, meditate for a few minutes. Every step counts. And above all, be kind to yourselves. The journey to a healthier life is exactly that, a journey. There will be ups and downs, good days and bad days. The important thing is to keep walking, always forward. I hope my words have touched you in some way, that you can look to the future with hope and determination, knowing that you have the power to shape your health and your life. Always remember, it's never too late to start, and every small choice can make a big difference. May you live many years, full of health, joy, and achievements. And who knows, in a few years you'll be sharing your own transformation stories and inspiring others. Life is a wonderful gift. Let's live it in the best way possible. A look to the future. My dear friends, after sharing with you my journey and learnings throughout these 78 years, I would like to leave some final words, looking towards the future. You know, when I was young, I imagined that in the future we would have flying cars and robots doing all the work for us. Well, not everything turned out as in science fiction movies, but the advancement of technology has certainly transformed our lives in ways I could never have imagined. Today, I see my grandchildren using apps to monitor their health, counting steps, recording sleep, even meditating with the help of their phones. It's fascinating, and it makes me wonder, what will your lives be like in 20, 30, or 50 years? One thing is certain, technology will continue to advance, and with it, new opportunities and challenges for our health and well-being will arise. Perhaps we'll have even more advanced treatments for diseases that we consider incurable today. Who knows, personalized medicine might become the norm, with treatments adapted to each individual's DNA. But, my friends, no matter how much technology advances, I believe that the basic principles of a healthy life will remain the same. Eating well, moving regularly, getting enough sleep, managing stress, and maintaining positive social connections. These are the foundations of a long and healthy life, and I doubt that will change, no matter how many high-tech gadgets we have. The challenge for future generations, I believe, will be to find a balance between taking advantage of the benefits of technology and maintaining a connection with what is natural and essential for our well-being. How to maintain a healthy diet in a world of ultra-processed foods and instant delivery. How to prioritize sleep and rest in a 24/7 society. How to cultivate deep relationships in a world of superficial digital connections. My advice to you thinking about the future is, embrace progress, but don't lose sight of what is truly important. Use technology to your advantage to improve your health, but don't forget to disconnect from time to time and reconnect with nature, with your loved ones, with yourself. Always remember that you are the authors of your own health story. The choices you make today will shape your tomorrow. And no matter what age you are now, it's always possible to write a new chapter, start a new journey towards a healthier and fuller life. As I write these words, I imagine you in the future, perhaps at my current age, looking back and reflecting on your own journeys. I hope you can look with pride at the choices you made, the habits you cultivated, the life you built. And if by chance any of you invent that flying car that I was so looking forward to in my youth, please let me know. Who knows, I might still be around to take a spin. Jokes aside, I want you to know that each of you has immense potential to live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. Believe in yourselves, take care of yourselves with love and compassion, and never stop learning and growing. The future is yours, my dear ones. Make the best of it. And always remember, true youth is not in age, but in curiosity, enthusiasm for life, and the willingness to always start anew. With all my affection and hope for the future, Anthony,